He started here in Madison. He currently lives in Chicago, and he really doesn't need any other fucking introduction. Please make some noise, you guys, for your headliner tonight, David Zoe Leon!
David Zoe Leon. If I could pay one person to clone, it would be David Zoe Leon.
Holy moly, how are you doing tonight? Wow. Let's hear it one more time for everyone you saw. Oh shit! Happy holidays, baby! Wow, it's me. Look at David. Holy buckets, here I am. You look at me and you're like, wait a minute, isn't that the dude that Ron Jeremy sends to accept his awards at the porn Oscars? That's the lead singer of that all-plus size Foo Fighter band? What do they call food fighters? That's stupid. That's dumb. Holy moly, that's dumb as hell. I'm so excited, my heart is palpitating. Oh God. One more time for the North Street Cabaret. I got big news. The biggest news. I recently became an uncle. Oh, wow. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to wait for one of my siblings to slip up. And then bam. It's crazy. Wow, how kids remind you babies. They fill you with something that's never been there before. They teach you things. And they can't even shit right, and they just teach you. Like my nephew, he taught me. This is the moment I had with him. It was fucking beautiful. I was babysitting him. I'm their official Manny. Thank you very much. Yes, I get paid in snacks. I love it. Yum, yum, yum in my tum, tum, tum. We're gonna be working out a lot of catchphrases tonight. That's the first one. I did everything for this little baby. I fed him, I held him close to my heart and all that, and I played with him, but he was not having it. He was being so naughty. He was like yelling at me. He was screaming, crying, freaking out, and I had this moment where I was just holding him out, just like looking at it, and then I just started laughing in his face, and I just said out loud to him, man, fuck this. I don't want a kid. They're expensive. Like, how much? Here's a quick equation. All your money. Think of where you're at financially. All of it. Every single penny. No expense spared. But, golly. This fucking baby. Another thing, man, my train of thought's not real. All the money. Another thing that this kid taught me, it's like, well, I just thought of it, like, it reminded me of a time, have you ever had to do coke when the toddler was in the other room? That's something that resonates with anyone? Because if you haven't, let me tell you up top, it is stressful. It's all defense. It's a lot of like, no. Adults, dad is in the kitchen. No. Knock it off. Like, my heart's already racing from the drugs, and then I have to play fucking defense? I don't like it. Jesus, this kid. Oh, but he's so sweet. But, like, I'm a little bent out of shape because I did more math, and I figured out for every baby born in the United States, an unemployed man wearing a denim hat becomes an uncle. And that's like that's a fact that a lot of people don't know. Because, not to get political, but here we go. Uncle awareness is at an all-time low in the United States right now. And not to be a face of a movement or nothing, but I feel like that's a little whack, alright? Like, it's crazy. There's so many things that happen when you're an uncle. I went in my closet and I just had a Hard Rock Cafe jacket. What? Where did that come? and like I became an uncle, then I got hella unemployed. And like I know it's not like unemployment isn't new to you, but I just got unemployment. What a scam! Oh my god, free money for just trying? My whole life has changed. It's changed forever. And it's funny, they like kind of make you look for jobs. So in the state of Illinois, they make you fill out this like profile online that jobs will look at, maybe. And so because I'm a clever, funny stand-up comedian, I put in little quips and funny answers. Oh, the times I have filling out documents. It's so great. But it's so, the best part about it is now I just get all these random emails that say, oh, Patricia from CareerBuilder.com is very interested in your experience as a fuck manager at Ascor. So I get all, like based on my credentials as a fuck manager, I get all these fucking offers, especially from Petco. They have like why? What is the fuck manager at Petco doing that he keeps dropping the ball? And they're just outsourcing. What is it? I'm getting a little worried because I don't want these jobs to ever contact me. Like, I fucking filled out an application for an ice skater instructor. I don't know how to ice skate. I don't. Under skills, they're like, what are your skills that qualify you for a job? I just wrote, oh, I'm real good. I would just hate to get that job and I just have to stand there and be like, no, again. Class. One more time? Where are we? What is this? I'm a little bummed out because, okay, when my nephew was born, he had the most fucking copulent, like, baby shower. He wasn't even made, actually. That's the crazy part. He was just baking in the tum-tum. And they had a huge party for him. They had the biggest party, and everybody went to it. And I was so jealous because nobody came to my uncle's shower at all. And I had it at a Dave & Buster's. You guys know Dave & Buster's? It's that place that they always show you on TV, but you've never been before. I went all out. I did the package where you get 3 different types of sliders. I only know 2. And it was like a lot of sliders. But it was crazy because like 2 people went, but the thing is, like, it was my friend and her husband, but they were already there ironically because they won a gift card and a raffle, so I had to like kind of guilt them into my uncle's shower and spend like $70 in tokens. There's no amount of money in tokens that'll make you happy when nobody shows up at your uncle's shower. And those sliders taste like hurting. Dude. I'll clear the air. There's a little falseness at the top of the show. A Chicago comic? Actually, I live in Chicago Ridge. And what that means, it's like somebody in Madison that's saying like, oh, I live in Madison, but then they live in fucking Fitchronaton. You live in Monona Dam. And like the biggest differences between Chicago and Chicago Ridge are, the way I put it is anyone familiar with the Neighbors app? Are any of you on the Neighbors app? Yeah. Are you really? Oh, dope. This is gonna be easy for me to explain because I felt like, okay, so the Neighbors app is part of the Ring app. Anybody have the Ring? The Ring app? Okay, it's alright. It's a camera that's just in the front of your door and it just reports suspicious activity. And then if anything were to happen, you go to the Neighbors app and you alert your community and they'll let everyone know. It's like a Facebook for like, you know, and in Chicago, like for neighbors basically. And in Chicago it's super essential because it can be a dangerous place depending on where you live. You need to know where there's shootings, you need to know where there's robberies or it's assaults, so it's a great thing. Not so much in Chicago Ridge. I downloaded it just kind of for fun because I just scroll through it and read all these, like, there's 20 posts about somebody saw a coyote. Like every other post is just some angry, like, you can tell they're just an angry, like, homebody who's just like, I saw a mean old coyote in front of my house and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Christian. So just be careful. Be careful. I see him, the one I saw was just like, does anyone get this, like, there's just a video of a FedEx guy dropping off a package, innocent, right? And the description is like, oh, has anybody seen, I think this is a Greek FedEx employee? I like Greek in my salad, but not in my neighborhood. Like, what? That's embarrassing. Like, you gotta be right kind of racism to live in Chicago. That's just wrong racism in Chicago Ridge. That doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. God, I hate saying mean things. I do. It comes out and I don't like it. I don't like even reporting the news. I fancy myself as a sweet, sweet boy. I'm not gonna lie. I consider myself a textbook sweet boy. But living in Chicago has made me so bad. It's made me so naughty. It made me a real naughty goose. That's what we say. That's the thing we say in the city. Like, it's made me... I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Because I see myself just changing and it doesn't feel nice. Like, the other day, I was riding the city bus, because my coupe, the color of the city bus, because all I ride is a city bus, crazy, ridiculous. And, like, I saw this couple, I fucking hated them. I hated them so much. I looked right at them and I'm like, in my head, I was just like, I don't like you. I don't like you one bit. Because the guy had a backwards hat, like, fuck off, man. A backwards hat's not how you use it right. And he had like a goatee, but the kind of goatee that says like, ugh, you know, it just hangs down. And it's like, ugh, I play the bass guitar and no other instruments. Like, what the fuck? Just the bass? Learn music theory. Think of an acoustic. And his girlfriend looked like the female version of that, which I understand is a pretty vague description. But what's crazy is the more you think about it, it just slowly makes sense because the mind is a modern marvel, isn't it? I know, crazy how that works. Like, they look like that their safe word during sex is and get political once more, but if you're wearing a backwards hat, I don't like you. Go on the other side of the street. You look like a little scamp and you're up to something. Like I said, I don't mean to judge, but when I see someone with a backwards hat, it's like, ooh, they're gonna kick over McGillicuddy's plants. McGillicuddy's front gun. They're gonna ding-dong ditch. Hopefully they have the ring to catch them on the ding-dong ditch. Sponsored material for the podcast. And if you're on a beach, have you ever been on a beach and you saw a man just wearing no shirt and a backwards hat? You get the fuck off that beach. You don't know it yet, but that is problematic. It is. But the anomaly they fall into, the category they fall into is why? Oh golly, I ask you why? Why is it you always end up doing cocaine with them? Like, you're always at their mom, like, oh, my mom's in Italy. So you're at their house and you're just doing it and you're like, I don't like this guy, but okay, he's a little better, but I still don't like him. It's every single time. Man. Like the older I get, I feel like I'm just like, I'm in this weird regression where I'm just getting very sensitive. I'm being too sensitive. Like, I don't like saying the B word, which is a little bitch way of saying the word bitch. Ouch, that hurt coming out of my mouth. I just try not to say it, I just don't like it. But like, I'll tell you about my most recent and favorite time I had to say the B word though. Okay, so I was driving up to a gig, sorry for the Hollywood talk, but I was driving up to a gig in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I went with another comic and she was also, like, it was her car, so we were driving together, we were both on the show, and we were having a blast. Like, you know what's crazy? You know, embedded in my head, if you play Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill from start to finish, I know every single word. And Alanis is like, yeah, I don't know, like that, yeah. But I knew like the deep cuts, like the visiting hours of 9 to 5, and I'll show up at 10 past 6, and I already know that I'll find someone to stick you in the back door, like that. Like the D, yeah, you ain't never heard of that. You weren't ready for that, Jelly. But we were having having so much fun on the drive up, and it's a drive from here. I'm sure you all know up to Green Bay, that's a drive. So we split up driving duties, and it was my turn. I'm fucking just singing a lot. Oh, golly. So free. So fancy free. Then all of a sudden, it felt like something from the vehicle fell, or we like ran over something. I wasn't sure. And she was like, pull over, pull over. And I'm like, oh, huckleberries. We must have ran over something. This is a serious thing. I had to pull over. And so I got out on my side and checked the tires. I'm like, nah, the tires look cool. And she's like, David, get away from the car. I'm like, but the tires are fine. She's like, get away from the car. Get away from the car. And I'm like, what the heck? And I look, and under the hood, it is completely on fire. Like, Bad Boys 2 on fire? Starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. The Michael Bay joint. It was like that on fire. It was crazy. And I started panicking. I'm like, get away from the car. Do you have anything valuable? Get it out of the car. Go back to the car. Get away from the car. Go back to the car. Get away from the car. And the whole time I'm like, do you have valuables? Get whatever valuables out of the car right now. And she said, my ID's in there. And I stopped and I yelled, bitch, I know who you are. I'm at Grab the Drugs. A very Wisconsin moment happened shortly after that, where a big, dirty, red pickup truck just pulled over, and this big, just lummox of a man, barely dressed, with like an overall hanging off, just walks up, he pulls a fire extinguisher out of his back cab, and he's like, well, it looks like we had a little fire here. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm back in Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin, man. I fucking love Wisconsin. I lived here for a really long time. I do. This is my old stamping grounds, if you will. Yeah. Man, I was a bad boy then, so that's why I'm regressing in this sweet, sweet stuff. Quack, quack, quack. That's not as good as a catchphrase, and I apologize. But I was so naughty back then, it was crazy. Like, okay, I used to work at this bagel shop. I don't want to use the, okay, all right, I'm at you. I don't want to use the actual name of it because I'll just say it rhymed with Einstein Brothers Bagels. Dwell on that one, campers. Another bad catchphrase. Anywho, I worked at this bagel shop, and it was during college when I was a MATC silly wolf. What are they called? I don't know. Yeah. But it was a fun job. It was just it was a period of my life where it was just a lot of party. You know, fucking Madison college culture. You just drink. You know, it's fucking crazy. So I was with my manager at the time. He used to live right behind it, and we were getting drunk. Ooh, we're getting drunk. Daddy's getting a little hungry. I'm daddy in this sense. And he said, David, I got this wacky idea. And I'm like, all right, proceed. And he said, there's a bunch of tip money in the safe at work that our general manager doesn't know about at all. We should like totally break in and take it. And I was like, can I make some sort of like wrap sandwich while we're there? Because I don't know if you heard me earlier, but Daddy's a little hungry. And he's like, what the fuck ever? Okay, come on, let's go. So we go and we like break in, which is just using a key. I think some of you out there are criminals, you just don't know it. Have that reflection later, I'm telling a story. We break in, right? And he runs in the back and he's doing the D, he's doing the nasty D. The whole time he's doing that stuff, I'm at the sandwich line. Oh, baby. I don't mean to brag, but I don't mean to boast, but I like hot butter on my breakfast toast. So I pulled out. Thank you. But, okay, so I pulled out like a wrap, like a tortilla wrap the size of this sexy good stool. Touching it brings back a memory, a sensation even. And I'm just like loading it up with bacon. Not just any bacon, pre-cooked maple bacon. Oh, pre-cooked, huh? You ain't gotta cook it? Nuh-uh, baby. Because if you feel the edges are so crispy, nice, then you don't gotta cook it or nothing. You just throw it in the wrap. And the whole time we had a squeeze bottle full of mayonnaise that was like this big. And so I'm just like, oh yeah! D-A-E, just spelling my name. But then I had this thing in my head, it's, you know, we all have a voice of reason that's lodged somewhere in the back of your head and it just comes out randomly. And mine came out immediately like, David! You should put some veggies on that so you can trick yourself into thinking you're eating a nutritious meal. I'm like, oh, good job inside, David. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. So I reach into the little salad, or the little romaine area, and you can't tell, because I'm a plant that looks like 100 feet tall, but I have really little paws. You can't tell. But don't judge these paws, however, because this is like the perfect amount of just crispy romaine, enough for that crunch when you bite into it and you get greeted by the bacon's like, hello, welcome. And then the tomato's like, yeah, we're here too, you know. And then all of a sudden, the lettuce just is at the end of it. It's like, you made a right choice. Like, oh, thank you ever so much. Thank you. And so, but the whole time I'm doing this, he's running, my manager is running to the back of the safe, handing me wads of just cash, 1s, 5s, 10s, heck, maybe even a 20. Like wads of cash, and I'm just shoving them in my pocket, and I'm just like, go away, I'm making her, you know. Fast forward to the morning, and like I woke up in this lazy boy chair and I'm hungover, and I'm holding the wrap that had like a couple bites in it, but I'm using it as a pillow, which is crazy because this began a slippery slope of instances where I'd wake up using food as pillows. And that went on for like a good 3 years. But that's an even longer story. We're gonna go back to this one. Yeah. So. My manager wakes up, which at this point I should call my friend after we did something stupid. Like, he's a friend, sure. My buddy, hey, heck, even a buddy. Alright, my buddy wakes up. And he's like, and I'm like freaking out. I'm just laying there, I'm like, oh, what did we do last night? Because I have, my pockets are just bulging out, and I'm reaching and I'm pulling out just money, just all these bills, all of it. And he's just like, we robbed Einstein's last night, do you remember? And I was like, don't say the actual name of it. I might tell this story later. He's just like, okay, like, I don't know what that means at all. And so we start counting all the money. We're throwing all the bills on the table. We're counting it. We had like over $300 worth of hot money. Oh, sizzling like that bacon I ate, you know? And I'm like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do with all this naughty money? What are we gonna do? And he's like, we should throw a party. And I was like, can we have it at my house? I just got a ping pong table. And he's like, sure, whatever. We'll have it at your house. So we threw this party at our house. I'm like, oh, we should do some fun stuff. Let's buy marijuana. Let's buy drugs. Let's try weed. Any weed heads out there? Don't know. There might be a copyright. But we spent about like a good like 200-ish on the weed, and we had all this other extra money. I'm like, what should we do for the rest of the money? And he's like, we should buy some cocaine. And I said, ooh, oh yes, the rich man's drug. Very well. Yes, I am familiar with sorts. Yes, but I don't know anyone to get no coke from. I don't. And he said, luckily I do. And so I'm like, take all this stolen money and go out into the night and find this story. I trust you with all my heart and I love you very much. And so he like leaves. He comes back. But I could tell by his body language when he came back, he did something happen. Because he didn't come back like, you know, I got the coke. You know, it wasn't anything like that. It was just kind of like. And I'm like, nah, Tiger, sit down. Sit down. You're going to tell Unky Davey what happened now. Spit it out. Spit it out. He's like, well, yeah, I went to go get the cocaine, I swear I went to go get the cocaine. I had all the money that we stole my own day. I'm like, yeah, speed it up. Speed it up. He said, oh, but the guy was out of cocaine, so I had to buy a bunch of crack. And I'm like, oh, hachi-machi. Let me see it. And I don't even seen a couple $100 worth of crack before, but just like think of what you think it might look like, and that's exactly it. It's just a dumb little golf ball of just drugs. Like, I was so befuddled. I'm like, what? This? No! Like, are you kidding me? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with all this crack? And he's like, there's only one thing we can do. And I'm like, oh, God. We have to smoke kind of thing. It was crazy. It was insane. The whole time, however, I knew it. Like, I fucking knew it, dog. I knew it that there was, like, no way that we're gonna get away with this, right? This is something's we're gonna get busted. And sure enough, my general manager at work the next day called me into her office and said, David, I need to speak with you. And I'm like, oh no, why are we talking like this? And she sat me down. She sat me down, and she's like, I came into work and I noticed something was missing. And I'm like, what? What? Missing? Whatever do you mean? She's like, David, please don't lie to me. Look at me and tell me what you know. Tell me what you know. There was a bunch of bacon missing from the sandwich bag. And the bag was ripped open, and it was a small enough little hole that a little paw could fit in there. And I'm pretty sure you know what happened. And I was like, oh, nah. What? Nah. And that was the first really naughty thing I done ever did here in Madison. Round of applause for Madison, Wisconsin. After that, I really did. I really did. I moved into a new neighborhood. I was over by Gorman, Ingersoll, for all you townies out there. And I was like, you know, I don't want to be bad no more. I want to be a good boy. So I baked a bunch of bran muffins, which is pretty easy. And the longer you live, bran is so good for you. I learned that almost 20 years later. Anywho, I'm not that old. Like 7 years, 8 years later. Anywho, so I'm like, I'm gonna make these bran muffins. I'm gonna go house to house. I'm gonna meet the neighbors. I'm gonna give them the muffins and say, you know, good day to you. I'm David. It's nice. Thank you. So I was doing that, and there was this house that we lived across from, and it was this house that was labeled, I don't know if you've heard of them or aware of them, they're known as the Addams family, because it's a house that has all their Halloween decorations out all year round on North Street. And like, the family unit comprises of a husband, a wife, the husband's girlfriend, her 2 kids, the wife's boyfriend, then her 3 kids, and then her slave named Mr. Rabbit, which is a guy that never wore shirts but had funny ears, and he wouldn't talk unless spoken to. And so that was like their whole family unit. And so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give these guys muffins, right? I was like so excited to meet them. Like, this is an experience. Holy moly. So I go up there, just so full of life. And I answer the door, or they answer the door, and they're just like, kind of like, oh, hey. I'm like, hi, my name's David. I just moved across the street, and I brought you muffins. And she's like, yeah, I guess that's cool. And like the whole time she talked to me, it was almost in this weird condescension. I don't know if she meant it or not, but I took offense to it. And I was like, I don't like how you're making me feel, you know? But when I left, she said to me, she's like, oh, by the way, we're doing a suspension show later tonight, and you can come if you can handle that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I will. Maybe I'll come. Hey, enjoy those muffins, they're bran. The longer you live, the better payout they'll be and whatnot. So I left and I just ran across the street to my house, and I went upstairs, and my buddy Mike was there, and he wasn't invited. And I was like, Mike, you're not gonna believe this. Those neighbors across the street, they invited me to their suspension show, but they said it in a way like, I'm not gonna go, we should totally go. And he's like, aren't you gonna ask how I got into your apartment? I had to climb. You're on the 2nd floor, like I had to climb. I'm like, Mike, no, I'm doing a bit. Shut up. We gotta go to the suspension show. That would be funny. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, and we should wear all white because it's a goth club, and they wear all black. And that would blow their minds, hopefully. And he's like, yeah, and we should take some acid and go. And I'm like, fine, we'll do your plan, but we have to do my plan. Now let's go. Little did I know that I've never done acid before up until that point. But I fancied myself as a drugman, so I you know, sweet boy drugman, a real Renaissance man. So I'm like, you know, I don't know what to expect, but I'm sure I'll be able to handle it. And so I pop the goofballs in, and I'm just like, waiting for them to kick in, just shaking out the nerves, shaking it out, you know? But I just didn't feel nothing. Time went by, 5, maybe even 10 minutes went by, and I was just like, this is nothing. Nothing's even happening. Like, I don't think it's kicking in. I don't think it's kicking in. No. in. What? I don't think it's kicking in. What? I don't think it's kicking in. No. I don't think it's kicking in. No. I don't think it's outcat. I don't think it's outcat. I don't like that. I don't need an outcat cake with a that's such a kind of at that town with that cricket. Better sister girl to that cricket so we kicked it, but I count with the outcat town. Never step on outcat town with the I don't see what. Wait, is my hair wet? Kick with the Oh, huckleberries. This is totally kicking. This is like totally kicking in right now. I think I'd be back. I don't know if I can handle this. Like, I was so fucked up. I was at the bar and I saw this lady from across the bar. She was looking at me. Ooh, a pretty lady looking at me. And I was like, hey Mike, look at that lady at the bar. She's making the googly eyes with me. And he's like, David, that's the color orange. And I'm like, oh no, I am fucked up. I am very fucked up. And the suspension show hasn't even begun. Then it began. It was like, uh-oh. And if you don't know what a suspension show is, it's when consenting adults drive hooks through their bodies and hang from the ceiling and they spin around for the sheer sexual pleasure, right? And I was into it. I was like, oh yeah, just in the front fucking going like, oh yeah, that's crazy. What is that, blood? Oh, that's wacky. And out of nowhere, this gaffed out mamacita, that's an ethnic word for pretty lady, she came up to me and she was dancing too. I'm like, oh, you want some of this? I have to. So she was dancing on me and I was getting into it and they were driving hooks to their limbs and it was just so, I was getting so fucking into it. I was like, fuck yeah! And she was dancing and I'm like, oh yeah, you're into this too? That's crazy. We both have a shared thing. That's nice. But like, I didn't realize it at the time that I was like really fucking into it, that this hand, the devil's hand, technically it's this one, however, like, I'm just scratching her back the whole time, but like fucking going in, like just at her back. And she's looking at me and she's like fucking into it, like, yeah, you can go harder. I'm like, oh, I can. But then that little voice came back like, David, no! And I snapped out of it. And I was like, oh no, sorry, madam. We have quite the mix-up. Look at you learning. Look at you. Look at me, Dr. Scientist up here, teaching the masses. I said, yes, Columbia. Columbia, I did a lot of research on Google.com, and it turns out there's a lot of great things that I feel pride in about my culture. Number one, coffee. Anybody? Sorry, I'm wrapping it up, don't worry. Coffee? Oh, baby. I gotta start that work week. I need a good old cup of joe. Don't worry, let's get a cup of joe here, there. Okay, yeah. That's what we call it in the big city. Cup of joe. How quirky, I know. A little more research. We invented kidnapping. Oh boy. Oh my. Tough room. Oh golly. But I feel like we made up for kidnapping because we made Shakira, and that thing's crazy. Do you remember Shakira? If you don't know out there, if you're shaking your head, you know, Shakira was, oh golly, she was the size of that stool. She was that singer-songwriter that was like, right? And what's really fucked up is that's a pretty dope Shakira impression. And that's like, I always forget it. I forget I can do that because it's inside me, like it's part of me. My hot blood just boils. It boils, it gets so hot, and it comes out like, it's fucking crazy. mean, I grew up with foreign parents. Anybody else out there? No? Oh man, if you haven't, find a way to rent a couple. Man, foreign parents are hilarious. They say things that's normal to them, but it's crazy to us. Like, my mom asks, she'll call me tomorrow and be like, oh, David, how was your presentation last night? Like, presentation? Oh, look at this slide. Like, what are you, dumb mommy? What do you think I'm doing? I can call her mommy. I'm the baby. But I love it because, like, there's this, I feel like the longer we live, there's this fear, this inevitable fear that we feel like, oh man, I'm becoming just like my mother, or I'm becoming just like my father, right? But like, my parents are really foreign, so it's funny. Like, okay, so here's a story, a quick story. They came to visit me. I used to live in Seattle for a while, and they came out there to visit me, and it was their last day there, so we went on a nice walk on the West Seattle beach. Oh, that's so nice. You might even see a seal if you're lucky. How quaint, how quaint. And we're walking past this ice cream shop, and there's another family having a sundae, like a sundae and a sundae. Whoa, I just figured that out. That's cute. It's a play on words. Anyways, so they're like this whole family unit, they're sitting out on, they're like eating ice cream, and they had this doggy. Oh, let me tell you, this little pup was naughty because he was laying on his back like I want tum-tum itches, you know, like one of those doggies. But where the edge was, like where the fence was for the ice cream place, his little paw was sticking out enough for a foolish foreign father to just trip over it, spin out of control, turn around and go, pick up your fucking rats! And just keep walking. And I'm like, oh my golly, if I'm gonna turn into that, then like sign me up. Thank you guys so much.
It would be David Zoe Leon. One person performed. It would be David Zoe Leon. One person performed. It would be David Zoe